Hi, hello, and welcome to another episode of the Join John series, where we'll be interacting with a host of industry speakers. I'm John Vincent, co-founder of NicheBrains and the host for this series. Just a quick brief about NicheBrains. NicheBrains is a business transformation platform which connects millions of SMEs with the best of brains across the globe to adopt digital transformation to help them grow their business exponentially, thus democratizing digital transformation. In today's session, we have a very seasoned guest, Mr. Srinivasan Madhusudan, who's a co-founder of LogicFlow, a unique product which helps logistics visibility and optimization. Mr. Madhusudan is an auto engineer with specialization in material management, inventory control, and warehouse design. He has years of professional experience, which includes working with companies like Simba, WAG, Excel, DB Shankar, DHL. So he's got a proven track record with supply chain clients such as HUL, P&G, HP, Dell, Ericsson, Motorola, Puma, just to name a few. Recently, he also oversaw the Samsung's India's supply chain operations, planning and execution of finished goods and parts. He's a dynamic leader and a great team member with great communication skills and analytical skills, which are relevant in fostering the highly motivated teams. So welcome to today's episode. Great to have you interact with us today. It'll be great if you can start off by giving a brief introduction about yourself, and then we can get on with the session.
Sure. Thank you. Thank you very much, John, for having me on this session today. It is really good to have an audience who are either into supply chain or looking for supply chain solutions to be a part of this kind of a discussion. So, like you have already briefed about myself, yes, I have got around 34 years of experience in the logistics, both on cost plus service side, a combination of the both, where for around 7.5 to 8 years, I've been taking care of the supply chain management for Samsung. And prior to that, I was on to a lot of other 3PL activities where we were doing warehousing and distribution supply chain solutions for a list of clients for huge companies like the DHLs and CEVAs of the world, including DB Shankars. Yeah. So where I was instrumental in terms of understanding, dissecting the problem and building solution around it, implementing it, operating it, and transferring it to operations. Right. So these predominantly were my core responsibilities. And with the kind of experiences, now I am in LogicFlow, which is a SaaS support for the ongoing digitization into logistics. It's a big support for the logistics operations, I would say, which we would speak about going forward. And well, that's about myself. Thank you. Thank you very much, John, once again.
Yeah. So it's really wonderful again, to have you here, Mr. Madhusudan. So just, today we're looking at some very interesting topic, right? Managing logistics challenges. But speaking on the topic, there's always, there's been a, confusion in terms of, is logistics supply chain. So there's always an override. So probably if you can give us a little bit about, what exactly you mean by logistics, if there are some specific types of logistics that, we need to look at.
Great, sure, I will do that, John. Just to give you a small overview, you can look at the slide in front of you also.
All right, yeah.
Primarily logistics, supply chain is a bigger gamut of operations which takes care of planning from supply. So that entire thing is the supply chain. Logistics is a very critical portion where demand and supply is fulfilled.
Right.
If you look at it, there is a particular demand in the market and there is a particular supply. So fulfilling these two requirements to the fullest is the logistic activity per se.
Right.
If you look at it in our country, currently the logistics spend is around 12% or greater than 12% of the GDP. Right. And now there is a great focus by the government to reduce it to a single digit in the coming years. What does it mean? It means that the logistics spend in our country is not on par with a lot of developed countries' logistics costs. Can be because of two reasons. One, our country as a geography is very big, number one. Number two, the infrastructures have not been developed for a period, due to which there is inherent cost which is seeped into the system, which needs to be eradicated. And that is one of the reasons there is mega projects being initiated by the governments
Right.
towards optimizing the logistics cost. For
Right.
example, rail and road infrastructure.
Yeah.
If you see the rail and road infrastructure, I'm sure each one of us who have been traveling around or who have been in the logistics field will see a great improvement in the TAT of the road travel.
Very
So if
true.
you look at Bombay, Pune, or if you look at Bangalore, Bombay, or Hyderabad, Bombay, the travel times have drastically reduced. How is that? That is because of the improvement in the road infrastructure which is happening. Rail, there is so much of potential for us to do through rail. And as of now, the percentage of rail where cargo movement is happening is very, very low and in single digits. So I think the next focus will be towards improving the infrastructure in terms of rail. If you look at the predominant differences between the road and the rail, I would say what we are missing in the road and the rail would be the visibility of cargo moving on rail compared to that on the road. So our comfort feeling more lies on the road, where we can talk to the transporter or where you can go to the GPS tracking system to see where your cargo is moving. But
Right.
unlike in a railway system, once you give it, you are at loss until it reaches the destination. So this is something which the government is initiating to change. This is also added with a lot of infrastructure improvements. Infrastructure improvements, which is like we will have multiple storage consolidation locations in the country. Today, what is happening is there is a lot of crisscrossing of vehicles, which is taking cargo to and fro the country, and there is unnecessary movement of vehicle, empty runs happening just to meet the demand and supply in the market. To
Yeah.
improvise all those things, there has been a team of logisticians put forward by the government along with the CIA body in studying how they can improvise it. And they have also come up with some strategic locations where they're going to build some logistics infrastructure where there will be a cross dock kind of an operation which happens. So this minimizes the crisscrossing of the vehicles between the regions.
Right. Right.
And in terms of having all these things done on a single platform, we are thinking of our country is definitely being, we are definitely looking at taking logistics to the next generation,
Yep.
where we will be in par or above the developed countries going forward. So there
Right.
is a great dependency on AI platforms. If you look at it, what we critically miss in the logistics operations throughout the country is digitization. If you look at your own organizations, there will be a lot of portions of your company, like the sales, like the accounts, like the marketing, where digitization will be at a different level compared to the supply chain.
Right.
So supply chain should also move to that level
Yeah.
for us to start exercising the benefits of digitization. That is something which is a critical support path which is required going forward. And especially post-COVID scenario, the market demand and supply changes has taken the next level. I think all of us will agree on to this.
Yeah.
COVID situation has really put us into a big frame of thought, when a lot of the kind of office infrastructure, the kind of office administration, the kind of monitoring which we were doing in those pre-COVID scenarios, are they really necessary or no?
Right.
Today, the consumer has got used to a habit of just sitting up at home and asking for it to be delivered to his house. So,
Absolutely.
which actually, if you look at it as a business, is a different trend. But if you look at the logistics requirement, we really have to gear up a lot to meet to this particular kind of mindset of the people. We are talking about 15 minutes delivery, 25 minutes delivery or
Very
free,
true.
groceries being delivered in 10 minutes with the kind of situation. So what is going to be the supply chain behind this? This is a big question which we would like to touch upon going forward.
Right. Perfect. So,
Challenge, sorry.
yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. So, we've been discussing on this, right? So where exactly, are the core things on the logistics that is impacting today's e-commerce business, or the challenges that, probably the industry is facing specifically with respect to the logistics? And are we having any technology innovations to, solve these?
That's a good question, John. That is something which we will definitely discuss now.
Yeah.
See, primarily what is happening is the logistics per se has divided into few categories. Like you can see something which is called as raw material logistics or RM logistics, which
Right.
is pre-production.
Right.
Pre-production is something which comes to the factory. There is a lot of demand and supply requirements for planning which takes place from the OEMs or from the manufacturers or from the enterprise customers, who will literally reach out to their raw material sources, and having that supplied to them is one part of logistics, where there is a lot of primary and pre-primary transportation involved.
Right.
The second one would be the strategic stocking of goods. Now, if you look at it, when I was just talking about 15 minutes delivery, half an hour delivery, it means that material which is being manufactured anywhere in the country should be available at those strategic locations to meet this demand.
Right.
So which means we will need to have some kind of storage locations, or there should be the manufacturer's storage location where the material is transported from the factory to these locations for further selling, which involves a lot of secondary transportation. Then we talk about B2B supply chain. B2B supply chain management basically speaks about transferring material from one seller to another seller, a seller to seller concept, where distribution capability requirement.
Right.
B2C, which is the last mile delivery, is something which has various forms of delivery within our country, and all of us will agree, starting from when we buy a refrigerator in Chroma across our house road, or if you buy it from an online stores, having it delivered to you is the last mile delivery, where there is a lot of developments and focuses happening post COVID especially. That has given rise to the fifth component, which is called direct to customer by the manufacturing companies.
Right.
If you look at it, business to business and business to customer is the model on which a lot of people are operating. So what is happening? There are multiple points of handling involved, multiple points of storage involved. Hence, this all rolling up onto the cost, and it is not becoming cost competitive. So to beat the market and to keep it quite reachable to the consumer, this new concept of direct to the customer is being spun by most of the companies who have an online shopping portal. To support them, there is a network behind it also. If you look at it, predominantly the problems or the challenges, I would say, which John was just asking some time ago in terms of this logistics operations is primarily availability of the truck in the marketplace truck availability, visibility of transportation, and what we can say that as digitization, where we have got error-free methodology of transferring material and data from point A to point B. These are those digital capabilities which we would be developing, or which I would be touching upon in the next case studies, which I would be interested to talk to you about. These things, if you see, we have to also look at how we can re-strategize. If you see, most of our warehouse and distribution locations will be as per what we had done pre-COVID. So when we were doing it in that era. So now it is time for us to sit back, think, and see how we can re-strategize in line with what the government is planning in terms of their infrastructure, and how we can leverage multimodal transportation.
Right.
So once when we turn our attentions, when we come out of the box to think as to what should we do differently, how can I make my logistics division as tech savvy as my finances, or as my marketing is, or as my sales is, then we will find a lot of answers to support our organizations in terms of cost effective and delivery effective logistics system.
Right.
Like I was few time prominent challenges. If you look at it, truck availability to meet the staggered demands of the market supply. What is staggered demand? I am sure all of us in the business would have seasonality in our businesses, and it is acknowledged very well in the market too. If you look
Right.
at it, currently is the Diwali season.
Right.
So there will be peak supplies happening everywhere, and hence there will be truck shortages.
Very true.
And there will be a lot of problem in truck coming back to the originating locations to pick up the next load. See,
Right.
now that the transit time is reduced, previously it was around 150 to 200 kilometers average per day.
Yeah.
Today the vehicles are clocking around 400 to 500 kilometers in a day. So
Right.
having said that, the transit times have been reducing drastically, which directly impacts our inventory storage mechanism also, where our inventory on wheels will reduce. So our inventory carrying cost will also reduce. So we must make the best use of this opportunity. For that, truck availability is a very big. Sorry, did somebody say something?
Yeah, sorry. Go ahead. Go ahead, Mr. I think somebody just. I've
Nice,
muted.
okay.
Please go ahead.
Yeah. Okay. So like I was saying, the demand is certainly very high, and now the marketplace does not have the truck. So do we have a digital solution which can help in meeting these what you can say skewed or sudden upward requirement of trucks? That is
Right.
one question which most of them would be having. And what is another important point is advanced scheduling of dispatches. If you look at it, most of the companies today will wait for the production, or slightly before close of the production, they'll start planning their scheduling, or they'll start planning their dispatches. So we need to move a little ahead in this. We should be in a position to schedule our dispatches accordingly. Why are we supposed to do it? It's basically because we will be in a position to beat the truck availability in the market in advance, so that we are able to block the kind of vehicles required for our transportation.
Right.
How can you do advanced scheduling? You again need to depend on an AI solution or on a digitalized solution to help you do this planning.
Right.
Third important point is the visibility. Like I was saying, since the transit time is drastically reduced, the visibility of the movement of the goods from origin to destination becomes very important.
Yeah, I see that.
If you look at it, sorry, yeah.
Uh,
If you look at it, the overall stocking of the goods with the customers in multiple cases has been observed and documented that their inventory levels has reduced because of the transit time, because of the lesser lead time in reaching the destination. So which is a good sign, where we will not see any direct cost impact on transportation per se, but as an organization, we will see a lot of cost impact in inventory carrying cost.
yeah.
We should also speak about the truck return possibility. So how does it happen? Do we have any mechanism our truck returning to, for example, if I'm dispatching from Chennai to say Calcutta? So what are the chances of the vehicle coming back to Chennai? If the lead time is 3 days, within 7 days, will I get it back? Today, the answer is no, I don't know. Because we don't know where the truck is going to go from Calcutta. He may go to Delhi, from Delhi to go to Gujarat, then to Bombay. Then he may take a detour and come back to Chennai. So how are we going to help in terms of feeding these vehicles to come back to the origin? That is something which we need to have, again, a digitalized solution to see how we can capitalize on whatever materials are coming back. Demand from Calcutta and supply of Calcutta, these two also can be matched, for example. We also discussed about the mid-mile and the last mile delivery. The most inefficient costs and the leakage of costs would happen in these sectors, because here predominantly we will be having dedicated vehicle movements between point A to point B. When I say dedicated vehicle movements, whether we operate in full or we don't operate in full, we will have to pay for the vehicle in full. So there is a fixed cost component which is already coming in there. So how can you leverage it? So the capacity utilization of the vehicle is something where there is no visibility. So it is all dependent on that person who's in the last leg of supply chain, who's executing it, for him to decide, okay, let it happen this way. No, it should not happen this way. And we have no visibility about it. So
Right.
after 6 months, when you put together your cost of goods transported through a particular mode of transportation, you will find that you could have done much better. So how are we going to build this capacity utilization to optimize the transportation cost? Say again?
No, go ahead, please. Yeah.
Yeah. So it's an important point for us. So advanced forecast of visibility on arrivals. If you look at the point number 2, it was an advanced scheduling mechanism. But this point speaks about an advanced forecast and visibility arrivals of the material. What does this mean? Today we have got all kinds of GPS tracking mechanisms, and we know the trucking community is not in favor of using these GPS, and they find every means to see how they can shut it off. That is just to track. But what I am talking about here is some kind of a relay mechanism, where if there is a traffic jam en route, or if there is a police problem en route, or if there is a vehicle breakdown en route, how can the information be forecasted to the origin and to the destination, so that they can proactively start planning, keeping that increase in time in mind also.
Right.
Is that there today? For that, we certainly need to have an AI support which is going to help us do that.
Right.
Yeah. And the two most important points, which I think today is the biggest challenge for any logistics supply chain organization or supply chain departments of any company, is the driver behavior monitoring system and the logistics cost and lack of skill sets. Today, there's a dearth of skill set which is required in the logistics department. People are working in the same old methodology which they were doing some 20 years back or 10 years back, for example, and to put innovations into a person's mind there becomes a big challenge. They would have reached a stage where they think that this is the best way we can operate. So cracking that and make them understand that out of the box there is something good and bigger is a big challenge for us to bring in new skill set.
Right.
And driver behavior monitoring system. Technically speaking, driver behavior is, drivers in India are not so what you can say as, it's not so much as a well received or accepted profession per se.
Right.
So their behaviors are very erratic, and the reason for this is because when they leave their house, they don't know when they are going to come back. There has been a lot of solutions which a lot of companies developed to see how they can improve it, but still the nut is not cracked as yet. So the behavior of the driver is very erratic, and at times it becomes annoying for enterprises to even tolerate such behaviors and to bring any kind of innovation into the trucking business per se. So how are we going to address that?
Right.
Is something which we need to work upon.
Right.
So if you look at the slide below, the 5 pillars which we are talking about are the predominant pillars which the government is planning to take in the new logistics policy in support of taking away a lot of challenges in the supply chain. For example, pillar number 1, if you see, integrated logistics services, faster, cheaper, safer logistics services. The first pillar itself, the government is concentrating on integrating logistics services. How can it be faster? How can it be cheaper and safer? It can be a combination of railroad or a railroad water or a rail and water, whatever. They are trying to integrate these services to see what could be the best possible methodology. The efficient and multimodal transport infrastructure is again taking away from pillar number 1, is the pillar number 2 which they are trying to build on enhancing efficiencies in road, rail and water.
Okay.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
So moving from the point number 2, then they have the logistics needs of core sectors, driving efficiencies and reliabilities. So that is something which they are concentrating upon, adding with the logistics for international competitiveness. Today, if you look at it, we have our international market where we are sending a lot of material out of India versus what we are receiving in India is not too well balanced. We
Right.
must be a highly export oriented country rather than import oriented country. That is when we'll be a stronger economy. So how are we going to do that? By improvising our logistics services, by improvising our freighter services, for example.
Right. Right.
And logistics from the for emergencies and disasters. This is something which is basically to build resilience among the country. So as you know, we have faced number of crises. We had a lot of crises in terms of oxygen, liquid oxygen during COVID. We had a lot of challenges during flooding in Nepal, which happened. So we need to build logistic capabilities to see how we can beat all these things. Maybe drone technology, or maybe something which is independent point-to-point supplies, which happens.
Yeah.
So something like this is something we need to build upon.
Yeah.
So this is what are the challenges and the way the logistics is moving upon. So
Yeah.
is there anything anybody would want to ask or comment upon?
We can probably keep it to the end, Mr. Madhusudan, the question session. But I think,
Sure.
whatever we've been talking about the challenges, and obviously you've been stressing on the pillars as well. So see, these are all challenges probably, you would have probably looked to address. So as you've told, if you can provide us also some case study probably on some of the prominent challenges and how those were addressed in, out of your experience in working with many of the big MNCs. So if you can give us one probably case study, that will probably give us some more thoughts on it. Yeah.
Yeah, I had prepared myself also to speak on a few of the case studies. I would like to take about two case studies specifically. One is for a quick commerce customer,
Mm-hmm.
and the second one is for a manufacturing unit. So the
Okay.
thing is, let me speak about the first one where digitization has helped in suppliers in terms of cost and inventory availability. The
Okay.
first point is that we were working with one of the companies I would not want to name who are into quick commerce, who had a huge problem around vehicle availability, optimization, and cost of transportation. Most of the cases you see, they had no their warehouse because it is quick commerce. It has to go. It has to go. So nobody was in a position to put together a module to see how
Mhm.
best it can be done, and what are the kind of costs and what are the gaps which we have got, and how can we improvise it. I can give a very small example. If you look at it in companies like where travel is very high,
Mhm.
air travel is very high, from an organization, maybe going to the airport on the same day. There may be 2 or 3 employees who are going to the airport on the same day, and we don't even know about it. Right? We might not even know about it. So in most of the cases, what happens? We tend to hire individual cabs and send all the 3 employees to the airport. But if I had a visibility of what is happening in my office that day from point A to point B, then I would have been in a position to club these journeys together
Right.
and then make it cost optimized. And I would also have been in a position to use lesser number of cabs. So the same example which we wanted to drive into the quick commerce industry also, when
Okay.
we saw there was material going from multiple locations within a city to the same destination, carrying not full, I would say, partial loads,
Yeah.
carrying dedicated vehicles, going half empty, what you can say, round trip vehicle coming and going back empty because of lack of planning. When we got all these cases on our table and we brainstormed together, then we came up with a very logical solution where we thought an advanced scheduling tool will really help the situation. So we built an advanced scheduling tool, and we made this advanced scheduling tool be implemented in all these locations of the quick commerce distribution network. So of course they started doing it in phases. And today we are in a position to operate something close to 780 locations of theirs. How the advantages the scheduling tool tells you, announces as to these are the schedules available for me from point A to point B. So people who are around can look and contribute their bit of cargo to the particular what you can say lane, and
Right.
their transportation cost per se has really reduced a lot. And they have acknowledged to us in writing, stating them that scheduling tool has been a very important tool for them, where it could take them to the next level of logistics planning.
Right.
So we started in a small location like Hyderabad. Today
Mhm.
we are doing pan India, supporting their operations for quick
Wonderful.
commerce. So the reason behind it is what? We moved every spreadsheet activity, every human dependent activity into a digitized platform on an AI. So once when it is there, once when the visibility is very high, people start adopting it because that is much more easier and much more reliable than the yesterday's of operations. So this was one which we did. The second case study I would want to refer to on digitization is the critical value mapping path for a customer from order to delivery. See, what happens is that there are a number of online orders which you place for companies who manufacture furnitures or who manufacture a lot of things and supply to you. The order is visible to you,
Yeah.
and after dispatch, the delivery is visible to you. Correct? So,
Correct.
from order to dispatch, what is happening? None of them, including the manufacturing unit or including the brand owner, did not know.
Right.
So what we thought we must do is we must give a visibility through the entire chain of production also.
Okay.
If my order for a product has been placed, what is happening to it? It is being produced in Chennai. If it is
Yeah.
being produced in Chennai, have they procured the raw material? First stage, barcoded raw material is procured, ticked. So I know it is moved. Then have they done the first bit of line operations? Completed, ticked. I know it is moving.
Right.
So in this way, we bring it till the delivery, and every data point captured is visible to set customers. Whoever has to see it or whoever wants the rights to it, we give those rights to them so they can see what is happening. If I am a brand owner and if I know it is not moved from line 1, it had to move from line 1 to line 2 today evening. It is not moved, so I know there is an issue, so I can go back to them and check what the issue is so that my delivery to the customer is not hampered. So we
Right.
were in a position to do that and give visibility throughout the chain, which not only has reduced their manual intervention and calls being made to the production locations, but also their confidence has gone up with the customer, where they are in a position to give the customer the exact feedback that your particular product is at this stage, it will be delivered to you at the estimated time of delivery. So you do not have to worry. So these kind of inputs, capturing multiple data points and making them visible, has helped them in the entire supply, starting from production till the delivery. This was another classic client which has really given as an entry, I would say,
Yeah.
into all these client bases who are into similar kind of businesses, where they are also keen to understand and see how they can do. So what did we do differently? If you look at it, we did this actually without any process disruption. We did not start the process anywhere. We plugged in our solution as is. So the process disruption was absolutely zero. 96% we were there, bang on. Manual
Right.
data entry errors less than 80% was eradicated. How?
Right.
Because once you go to digitized platform, the first level of your data entry is what will pass till the last level. So there is nobody who's going to enter second time, third time, fourth time, and then it does not become the Chinese whisper. So
Right.
we eradicated that data entry possibilities of error throughout the chain. And
Correct.
when you go and when the material is delivered to the end customer, since the material is being tracked through and through, and the customer has to acknowledge the receipt condition of quantity and quality on receiving, we were in a position to eliminate loss and damages which could have occurred during the transit processes or which could have occurred even after the particular processes. So these are the acknowledged percentages which we have received from the clients utilizing our digitalized platform.
Right. Wonderful. Wonderful.
Yeah.
So I think this is this is probably similar to how I've seen probably when we order through Swiggy or something, right? It's like when we say that they say the order has been in process, the your preparation, it's in preparation, then its order is ready for pickup, and it's something it's not though mapped to real businesses today, but then I see that you have basically done that to businesses as well, from raw material pickup to so that really makes sense, Mr. Madhusudan. I see that.
Especially when we were talking about build-to-suit orders.
Right.
I would say, let's say furnitures, for example.
Right.
So when you look at a furniture and you order a particular kind of a cot, okay, maybe the cot would not be immediately available in the warehouse, but it has to be manufactured.
Right.
So then what happens is that you will get these messages on the line that it is in process. But as a brand owner, for me, I don't know what is happening inside because it's not happening under my premises.
Very true.
So I have built my visibility to see where I am exactly. Is it moving as per target?
Right.
So I am in a position to give customer the right kind of assurances.
Absolutely. I think the case study really gives key insights on how we can look at the entire chain from the time we procure the raw materials to finally it's delivered to the customer. This is really a key input. So thank you so much, Mr. Madhusudan. There's some key takeaways for especially for that you can say that these are some key takeaways. When you look at your logistics, this is how you need to plan probably based on your customer preference, or what exactly would you give some key takeaways for any SMEs today when you look at specifically on the logistics side?
My what you can say that as food for thought for the team members on the call would primarily be that let us look for solutions out of the box.
Right.
First and foremost thing, that is something which I have not seen most of the logistic organizations doing that. When I say organizations, I also mean the departments within the SME. So there is a very typical way in which they have been functioning for all those ages, and that is how they would like to function. So my request is please step out of it and look at it as an independent, as a third party new vision. Then you will come up with a lot of innovations. Number two, don't close your doors to digitization. Digitization is something which will only speed up the process, which is also the key focus of the country today in terms of the what you can say, the logistics policy, that they want to have solid digital partners to support the entire growth of logistics within the country. When that is happening at that level, you can imagine at our organizational levels how much it will help us in digitization. I have a lot of cases where people have come back to me saying that we resisted in the beginning, but thank you for pushing us. We have been successful in doing this. Thanks. So please accept digitization with a little bit more of open mind. And last but not the least, I think reinvent the wheel. I think that is what is the call of the hour. We really have to reinvent the wheel because now a lot of things have changed. So let us see if we are in the race or how can we get onto the race again.
Very true. Very true. Thanks. Thanks so much, Mr. Some key thoughts, probably for people to really look at, as they, go and try to look at their logistic challenges and how they can be addressed. So, some valid thoughts here.
I just have one point which I wanted to make to people here. See, primarily what has happened today is logistics has reached a level where scraping cost beyond what we are running today is highly difficult.
Very true.
But if I have to make it cost efficient, the only way is innovation.
Very true. Very true.
Okay. So if you have to look at reduce the logistics cost, following the 3Ps and cost negotiation is not going to help you.
Very
Innovation is going to help you. So please open yourself to innovations to reduce your logistics cost.
Absolutely. Absolutely. I think there are true, very important words for people to, look at. Very true. So, yeah, I think we are almost close to time, but then, I'll open it up for some few questions. If audience, if there are any questions that you have, please do have some questions. I think Mr. Madhusudan is there to answer them. Please go ahead.
Good. I think people have yet to put it together.
Yeah, sure. I think that, it's...
I'm any point of time, please feel free to reach out to me through John. So
yeah, definitely. So yeah, that's what I would suggest, in case if, obviously, there's a lot of stuff to probably take in as well. So I would suggest that if there's any further questions as well, post this session, you can obviously reach out to me. You can reach out to Mr. Madhu. So you can reach out directly to support@nichebrains.ai as well. So there's... So thank you so much again for all of you all for the inputs, Mr. Madhusudan. It was wonderful to have you here on the program here today for us, the episode. So then, see you then, everybody. Thanks for having you all as well. So see you in the next episode of the Join John Soon. This is John signing off today. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye. Thank you all. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Mr. Madhusudan. Yeah.